Alasdair, how are you doing today, man?
I am doing good, thank you.
It is a pleasure to have you here. We're on Slack, and last week you shared this super quick video of Tinybird and WarpStream working together. You had a Python producer going, so I kind of copied what you did by looking at that extremely short and fast video, and I did the same thing. I used Bento as a producer, and it worked great. So I thought it'd be cool to kind of run through this together so other people can see what's involved. But why don't you give a 20-second explainer on Tinybird for people that aren't familiar, and then we'll jump in.
Yeah, sure. So Tinybird is a real-time analytics platform, primarily for building user-facing applications. So if you are building any kind of application where your end users actually interact with data, that's kind of the purpose of Tinybird. So
Okay.
really to bring analytics straight into the application.
Excellent. All right, and with that, let's dive in. You want to share your screen?
Sure. Okie dokie.
So we're starting
So
here at Stream, right?
yeah, so I'm just in the WarpStream console, and I'm going to create a serverless cluster. And I've got a Tinybird WarpStream, and I'll make that in US East. And say I've got my cluster, and I will create some credentials. There we go. Got my credentials. So I'll just copy and paste those and stick those into my data generator.
Okay.
Okay. So that's running now. And back in the WarpStream overview, you can see it's now starting to get some records. And that's pretty much all of the setup for the WarpStream. So we've now got a serverless, what appears to be Kafka running after, I don't know, how long was that? A minute of setup?
30 seconds. Exactly.
Now we've got effectively Kafka, but we actually want to go and do something with that at the end of the day. So I'm going
Right.
to switch over to Tinybird, and I'm just going to add a new data source. And because WarpStream is Kafka compatible, we don't have a button for it right now, but you can just click Kafka button, and it will just work out of the box because it's Kafka protocol compatible.
Excellent.
We'll call this WarpStream, and our Bootstrap server is warp serverless at warpstream.com.
Yep.
And then I'll just need to paste my credentials in again. And that's all the setup we need to do. The defaults are fine. I'll go next, and that'll connect and discover the topics. I've only got one topic, which is the one I'm producing messages to at the moment, which is called Tinybird. Go next. I'll pick the earliest offset so that I get all the messages that I've already sent. That's going to connect to the topic and start pulling down a preview of the message that we've been sending, so we can see what the schema looks like and see a sample of the data. So it's inspected the data and inferred the schema. So it's pulled out what the columns are and tried to infer what the types are. We can change that up if we want to, but they look fine for this demo.
Awesome.
So I'll give that a name and create. So that's created a data source. And basically what that is it's a database table and a Kafka consumer combined into one in a data source. So
Cool.
that's already started consuming from WarpStream and writing it into Tinybird. So now we can actually start doing something with our data. So I'll create a pipe, and with SQL, we can now start querying that streaming data. So if I pop that out the side, so we look at our schema while I work. Let's say I've got a group and an age. So let's just do something basic. Let's say it's an average of the age as age and the group, and we'll group by the group. Helps if I complete the yes. So we've now, done a super basic piece of SQL to analyze that streaming data, right?
That was
So
instantaneous too.
yeah, nice and quick. I'll call this this pipe, average age, and I'm going to create an API endpoint from that SQL query in one click. It's done. I can copy and paste this, go to a new tab, paste that in, and now, we've gone from absolutely nothing to an infinitely scalable Kafka service provided by WarpStream to integrating it with an infinitely scalable ClickHouse analytics service powered by Tinybird analyzed our data in SQL, published it as a REST API, and now it is ready to integrate into a front end application. And that's it. That's done. That's 2-3 minutes to do the whole thing.
Well, Alistair, I'm sorry, but that's not complex enough. Can you make it more complicated for me? Uh,
Impossible.
it's not possible. That is really cool. I mean, normally the amount of effort required to kind of put something like that together would be pretty enormous. And as you say, this is pretty infinitely scalable.
Yep.
Wow.
Exactly.
And there we have it.
End.
I love it. Bit neat. Well, this was great. I really appreciate your time, Alistair. Thank you so much.
No worries.